The year so far, and today tied that number. Let's get to Brett Rosen tonight. He has more on what health experts say that you should know before this high becomes the weekday average. Brett?
Mark, summer officially starts on June 20th. However, here in the Coachella Valley, we're already starting to feel it. Today's hot sun and UV index of 9 is bringing in a temperature high of 117. It's not setting any records. However, health officials say you need to watch out for heat exhaustion.
You know, you're not sweating anymore, or you're feeling lightheaded or dizzy. These are symptoms that you may be getting too much sun, but if you start having worse symptoms, please seek medical attention.
That's Dr. Eutham Contaxis, medical director for Eisenhower's emergency department. He warns how during these summer months to not leave children or animals in the car, even when there's a shade cover. However, he says the most vulnerable during these summer months are the elderly.
As people get older or as they take new medications, they have to be aware that sometimes they don't interact well either with the sunlight directly or with heat.
Experts say stay out of the sun, stay hydrated by drinking plenty of water, do activities during the morning or night when it's cooler, are all ways to avoid heat exhaustion during the summer months. However, something that also could be affected by the sun, says health experts, is your skin.
What I'm more concerned about in the short term is sunburns, burning of the feet if you happen to be barefoot on a hot pavement.
People think they're protected if they go out for a walk or a jog at 5 p.m. or if they do their gardening at 8 or 9 a.m. But you know what? As long as there's sun in the sky and it's bright outside, and you just have to protect your skin.
That's Dr. Natalie Nasser, a dermatologist for Kaiser Permanente Riverside County, talking about how even if it's a little cooler in the evening, if there's sun, there's a chance for a burn. However, she says there are ways you can protect yourself.
Wearing a broad-brimmed hat, like all the way around, not just a baseball cap or a visor, to reapplying your SPF throughout the day, at least every 2 hours or more if you go in the water.
Now, when speaking to both doctors about the risk of skin cancer, they emphasize that it can be avoided. You just got to cover up and put on sunscreen. For NBC Palm Springs, I'm Brett Rosen.
Thank you, Brett. Here's a live look outside. This is our Agua Caliente casino camera in downtown Palm Springs as we check in with Chloe Carlson tonight. Man, another hot day. Hopefully for Father's Day, everyone was able to make their plans indoors because, Chloe, the last few days have just been miserable out there.
They've been a little rough, and I feel like I jinxed us because I've been talking about, oh my goodness, it's not as bad as last year. And then the weather said, psych, we're going to be almost 120 degrees outside. It was a very hot weekend, and that is across the board for all of Southern California. I was at the coast this weekend. Even we were feeling it there. It was a warm one out there, well above average conditions for Southern California. We do have that extreme heat warning for Southeast California with those temperatures getting well above the triple digits. And not just us. That is going to expand all the way into Arizona and up north through portions of Nevada. So it really is a heat wave for all of the Southwest. For a little bit to the west of us, the Inland Empire and close to those coastal cities, a heat advisory. This is going to go through Wednesday evening. So while I am going to talk about a cool down, it really isn't going to feel like it because day-to-day changes. It's going to be a degree or two. So tomorrow, and you're not going to be getting those jackets out. It's 114, 113 tomorrow. We're going to stay above 110 degrees at least through middle of this week. So keep that in mind. But we will get close to average as we get into the end of the week. Brett mentioned it, but a good reminder. I know you all know this, but you know, when you're outside in those temperatures, make sure you're being in the shade. Maybe go to an air conditioning. We talked about maybe not walking in the peak of the day, doing those extracurricular activities. Maybe get a gym membership. I'm a proponent for a gym membership, especially. I like to run outside, but in those temperatures that we are seeing, it's a little too much to be exercising outside. 115 still in downtown Palm Springs. Here's a look at your Comfort Air 3-day forecast. So as I mentioned, we will see a slight cool down, staying above 110 through Thursday, and then we'll see much closer to average conditions as we get into the weekend. We'll break down more you can expect in that full forecast coming up.
Chloe, thank you. We have a local alert this evening. Indio Police Department held a DUI checkpoint Friday night. They issued 6 citations and arrested 1 person for evading officers. The checkpoint went from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. It was near Jackson Street and Dillon Avenue. Citations included driving with a suspended license and improper child seat use. The effort was funded by a grant from the California Office of Traffic Safety.
The man accused of bribing former Palm Springs Mayor Steve Pugnet was found not guilty on all charges today. Real estate developer John Westman was acquitted of offering six-figure bribes to Pugnet to support downtown projects. The trial started in late May at the Banning Justice Center, with jurors deliberating for a little over a week. Westman faced 9 counts of bribery, 1 count of conspiracy to commit a felony. Meantime, Pugnet reached a plea agreement with the court last month.
A La Quinta man is out on bail after being arrested for making online threats against a Palm Springs No Kings rally. The suspect is 28-year-old Edward Miranda. He was booked on charges of criminal threats and violating civil rights. Police worked with the FBI to identify Miranda after the threat, and they conducted searches at his home in La Quinta and in San Bernardino County. During their investigation, authorities also seized a firearm. Palm Springs Police Chief Andy Mills emphasizing all threats to public safety are taken very seriously. Anyone with information is urged to contact the Palm Springs Police Department. We have the number for you right there at the bottom of your screen.
And despite the threat you just heard about right there, no major incidents reported at the No Kings rallies throughout the Coachella Valley. Thousands of people across Palm Springs, Cathedral City, and Rancho Mirage protested against the current presidential administration.
It's one of the protests, as you know, around the entire country that is going to go, it's called No Kings for a reason, and we want to make sure that we don't have any kings.
And I don't agree with the administration doing what they're doing, kidnapping and separating families.
Overall, I think people are very unhappy with the uninformed, just unintelligent actions of this administration.
And so this is a demonstration that declares from the top of everybody's lungs that there are no kings in America.
We have more of our weekend coverage of the demonstrations. That's on our website, NBCPalmSprings.com.
Deputies in La Quinta tried to stop a suspicious vehicle Sunday night. According to them, though, the driver took off. The pursuit ended in a crash involving a Riverside County Sheriff's Patrol unit and another vehicle. In the video here, you can see damage. It all started around 10 o'clock near Avenida Cortez and ended near Avenue 52 and Jefferson Street. No arrests have been made. An investigation is currently underway.
Big changes coming to downtown Palm Springs starting today as the city kicks off the next phase of the Plaza Theater project. Crews are set to begin demolishing the patio at Kalura Trattoria. That's to make way for a new 60-seat outdoor dining area and a new entrance to the historic theater that does meet fire and building codes. The updated patio will run along South Palm Canyon Drive from Ben & Jerry's to Kalura and then create a clear 20-foot path from the theater to the sidewalk. City officials say demolition will take about a week, with drivers warned to expect occasional lane closures in the southbound direction. The patio is expected to be finished by early August, with the Plaza Theater's grand reopening still on track for December 1st.
The city of Palm Springs is inviting the community to a special joint meeting with city leaders and commission chairs. It's happening right now, just started a few minutes ago at 6 o'clock at the Convention Center, where board chairs are highlighting their progress and future plans. Residents are welcome to attend, ask questions, share their thoughts during the public comment. If you didn't get out there in time, you can catch this all live on the city's YouTube channel. And here in California, well, we're used to paying a little more at the pump, but another price hike could be on the horizon, driven by both domestic and global disruptions. And for many, it's already hitting home. Our Caitlin Kelly reports.
It cost me a fortune to go see my family.
This is Jackie Dillon, a desert resident who's feeling the squeeze every time she fills up. And that pinch is only getting tighter as gas prices are expected to rise again in the coming weeks.
Gasoline taxes slated to increase on July 1st. That's the state's new mechanism for auto-adjusting for inflation. So motorists will be having to dig a little deeper to hit the road in California this summer.
But the gas tax is just the tip of the iceberg. Ongoing refinery issues across California are tightening supply, and that could send prices climbing well beyond the 1.6-cent increase tied to the tax.
Well, it's been another very nauseating year. Refinery issues have been a problem in California. Several refinery fires have happened since the start of the year. And if a refinery goes down unexpectedly, that can bring a very sudden jolt to gasoline supplies that are arguably in short supply when the weather's warmer and folks are on the road.
And as tensions rise between Iran and Israel, experts warn global oil markets could feel the shock. Iran is one of the world's top oil producers, and any disruption to its infrastructure or exports can ripple through international supply chains, ultimately driving up prices at the pump here at home.
That's probably not even a full tank.
Some Californians are turning to electric vehicles to sidestep the rising fuel costs, though it's not without trade-offs.
So regarding the cost of the gas, we live in a state where the gas prices are like too high, in my opinion. So that's another reason why I had to switch to an electric vehicle.
But while he's saving at the pump, the switch to electric comes with its own challenges.
You stop by this charging station, you need to wait those like 20-25 minutes to charge. So that could be the only bad thing about it. But, you know, like compare to the two things, I will choose an electric vehicle if I can.
That was our Caitlin Kelly reporting tonight. We thank Caitlin for that. Blue Zones Project Palm Springs is hosting a food donation day at the LGBTQ Community Center of the Desert. That's this Wednesday, June 18th. They're asking for shelf-stable donations, things like rice, beans, canned goods, even dog food. That's to help local families who are in need right now. Summer is a tough time for food banks, so your support really does make a difference. Plus, donors get a chance to win a prize package, including a $100 Stater Brothers gift card.
Grocery workers at stores like Vons, Albertsons, and Ralph's in Palm Desert preparing to strike next week if contract talks fail. The group says its members are facing poor working conditions, understaffing, and low pay. The union says this could affect thousands of workers and frustrate customers who've already noticed some empty shelves and long lines in various grocery store locations. Negotiations are set to resume June 25th, but for now, workers are making signs and they're getting ready to rally. Coming up next tonight on NBC Palm Springs, as record temperatures continue to appear here in the Coachella Valley, residents in Palm Desert are turning to some local cooling centers for relief. We'll show you how you can beat the summer heat.
Also tonight, the massive multi-billion-dollar deal rocking the pharmaceutical industry. We'll explain what this means for one of the biggest opioid sellers in this country.
And records are meant to be broken, and that's the plan this weekend at the Palm Springs Surf Club. We'll talk about it coming up in sports.
They say dogs are a man's best friend, but at NBC Palm Springs, we're a dog's best choice for news. Apologies to our competitors, but even your dogs know who leads the pack in news.
Night after night, discover the unique stories that set our valley apart. Together, we're going to find inspiration and foster connections that strengthen the fabric of our community. In some news across the country this evening, 55 attorneys general have agreed to a massive $7.4 billion settlement with bankrupt drug maker Purdue Pharma. This deal involves all 50 states, Washington, D.C., and 4 U.S. territories to resolve thousands of lawsuits connected to the opioid crisis caused by OxyContin. The Sackler family, owners of Purdue, have agreed to the settlement, which ends their control over the company and opioid sales in the country. This is the largest settlement to date involving parties responsible for the opioid epidemic.
Officials from the New York City Mayor's Office and the NYPD gathering on Staten Island to destroy hundreds of illegal mopeds and scooters. These vehicles were impounded for having fraudulent license plates or being used in crimes, and they're referred to as ghost vehicles. Two-wheeled ghost vehicles have also been a concern over the years, with authorities saying many have been used in theft and street crime. Since March of last year, authorities have seized over 4,700 vehicles whose owners owed a total of over $56 million in unpaid tolls, taxes, and fees. And back here in the Valley, the Dr. Carrion Foundation held its Scholarship Awards banquet Sunday. This was at La Quinta High School. The event celebrated the achievements of nearly 90 scholarship recipients from the class of 2025. Over $290,000 were awarded this year, bringing the foundation's total scholarship contributions to more than $2.5 million since 1991.
As record temperatures scorch the Coachella Valley, residents in Palm Desert are turning to local cooling centers for some relief. But as our digital reporter Thalia Hayden explains tonight, some say they need relief at nighttime too.
There's no denying the heat is on. It might be considered unbearable by many of us. A lot of people rely on cooling centers, but cooling centers have rules.
We are open Monday through Friday from 8 to 4:30.
Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we're open till 8 p.m.
Here at the Palm Desert Library, you can come here during hours of operation. They also provide water.
Actually, this is the first time I've been here this year, so I don't know. They do have some nice chairs with plugs near them, so I'm hoping this can be one option.
And so as long as you're open, they can come?
Yes, everybody in the community is welcome to come in and cool off.
Is there a time limit somebody's allowed to stay?
The time limit, yes and no. I know that it does get hot, but we're not going to kick people out just because, they've been here for a whole day. They're more than welcome to stay. We do let them know, we can't continue doing it. But for the most part, a full day is perfectly fine.
I'm on disability. I'm living in my car. Being elderly, because I'm 66, being elderly and disabled, I just need a break during the day. And trying to find a cooling center in this desert is really hard. I think that someone in this area should open up a safe parking lot for folks to live in their cars at night only, just to have a place to park at night. During the day would be great too, but mainly at night, someplace safe.
Thalia Hayden, NBC Palm Springs.
All right, we're giving you a live look tonight. This is our Indian Wells Golf Resort camera. Chloe Carlson standing by for a look at our forecast throughout this work week. Those details when we come right back.
They say dogs are a man's best friend, but at NBC Palm Springs, we're a dog's best choice for news. Apologies to our competitors, but even your dogs know who leads the pack in news.
Night after night, discovered the unique stories that
And happy Monday, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Right now, we're taking a live look at the Walter Clark Highway 11 cam in Rancho Mirage. Clear blue skies today. Looks like the winds have improved a little bit on the 111. And worth noting, maybe a little bit of some road work there in the 111 near the river. So keep that in mind if you're traveling that direction. You can still see the leaves are blowing a little bit on those palm trees, though, at this hour. 117 for the high today. So we were well above average, 14 degrees above what we normally expect this time of year. So yes, we're getting closer to summer, but we're not supposed to be nearly 120 degrees right now. 103. We will get back to those numbers, though, as we get into the weekend. So just wait, hold out a little bit. We were 1 degree away from the record-breaking number back in 1993, 118. I'm okay with not getting close to those record-breaking numbers. 115 right now in Palm Springs. Just for fun, I'll show you what's happening in the southwest because it is hot for a good portion of the southwest. 112 in Lake Havasu, 111 in Phoenix, 107 for Yuma, and then those coastal cities get a little bit of that marine layer, so they're staying in the 70s at this hour. Overnight tonight, we will be low 80s, high 70s for us here on the desert floor, just below 70 up in Joshua Tree. As far as those winds go, it was much stronger winds for the Rancho Mirage area in the 5 o'clock show. It was kind of blowing that wind, that camera back and forth. We are expecting those gusty winds to continue through this evening, so gusts up to 50 miles per hour for those wind-prone areas. So we're talking the Sangonio Pass. So keep that in mind. As we get into our Tuesday, Desert Hot Springs, we'll see those gusty winds continue. It'll lighten up a little bit for the wind quarter as we get into later this week. We'll call it breezy for us here on the desert floor. So because of those winds, we are tracking an air quality alert through tomorrow morning. So they're kicking up that dust and that sand. So if you need another reason to maybe not be doing those exercises outside of those hot temperatures, here's your other one, the air quality alert. You don't want to be outside doing extracurricular activities through tomorrow, at least because of those that wind-blown dust, and really all week because of those temperatures. Dry, as you saw, again, clear skies this week. We're going to be seeing that high-pressure system hanging around, bringing in those hot temperatures through most of our work week. Here's a look at your Comfort Air 7-day forecast. 113 Tuesday, 112 Wednesday. We'll cool down to slightly below average. We are right at 100 degrees by next Monday.
They say dogs are a man's best friend, but at NBC Palm Springs, we're a dog's best choice for news. Apologies to our competitors, but even your dogs know who leads the pack in news.
Night after night, discovered the
The NBC Palm Springs Sports Desk with Tim O'Brien. Brought to you by Agua Caliente Casinos.
Well, welcome back. It's event week at the Palm Springs Surf Club. Record Breakers Action Sports Spectacle happening this Saturday. Record Breakers and the Never Been Done Surf Competition will hit the Palm Springs Surf Club on Saturday, June 21st. It all begins at 3 p.m. Motocross, surfing, skateboarding, and BMX athletes will all perform to the crowd in hopes of breaking multiple records. One of those athletes, Colby Raha, who is behind the event, will be getting on his bike in hopes of making history.
Yeah, so June 21st here at the Palm Springs Surf Club, I've got the opportunity to go for a world record that hasn't been broken in over 50 years. It's a 171 foot to flat landing, currently held by Bob Gill in 1973. No one's broke it, and I'm going for it. So I'm going to get up to speeds about 100 miles an hour, and I'm aiming for 180, but if I go a little further, I'm setting my sights on 200 to flat.
The event will be hosted by legendary surfers Bruce Irons and Nathan Fletcher. And the Palm Springs Power will be hosting your four-legged friends tomorrow night at Palm Springs Stadium. It's Bark at the Park night. The first 50 fans who enter the park with their dogs will go home with a goodie bag from the Tail Waggers Pet Supply. The event will feature dog-themed giveaways with all in-game promotions. There's my boy Anchor with his Yankee bandana and his Yankee bat ready to go. He's going to come out. Him, Jersey, and Lulu, the whole zoo, all three of them. We'll bring them over to the stadium tomorrow. Hope to see you out there, and make sure you bring water for your dog as well. We'll see you tomorrow night at 7. First pitch. That'll do it in sports. I'm Tim O'Brien.
And now the Agua Caliente Entertainment Report, brought to you by Agua Caliente Casinos.
The Supreme Court has declined to hear a copyright suit against pop star Ed Sheeran. It was filed by a company that claimed his Grammy-winning single, Thinking Out Loud, copied the classic Marvin Gaye song, Let's Get It On. It's declining to hear the appeal, and in it, the Supreme Court let in place a decision from the New York-based Second Circuit Court of Appeals siding with Sheeran. The question put forth to the justices was whether the appeals court gave too much deference to the U.S. Copyright Office interpretation of the Copyright Act of 1909. We'll be right back.
Brighter Side of the News is brought to you by Fiesta Kia. Discover the all-new Fiesta Kia located in the I-10 Auto Mall.
Well, there's plenty to look forward to this week at the Cathedral City Senior Center, but You'll want to get there early. Tuesday will feature a free Father's Day barbecue at 11 a.m. There'll be some food, drinks, games, raffle prizes. It's all courtesy of Bill Hart's Desert Insurance Agency. The center will be closed Wednesday and Thursday in observance of Juneteenth. But the group says whether you're stopping by for a class, a meal, or just to say hi, there's always a warm welcome that's waiting for you. Father's Day barbecue. Maybe if you forgot to get the gift in time for Sunday, you can bring it on Tuesday.
Keep the celebrations going.
I panicked because it was yesterday, right?
I thought, we already did this, right?
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for us. We're back here tonight for the latest headlines coming up at 11, but for now, we'll send things over to Fred Rogan. He's got the latest with the Rogan Report. Hey, Fred.
Hey, Mark. The Rogan Report is presented by The Living Desert.
You're sitting on your patio, you look outside, look out for the wing. How would you like to see that? Some Bermuda Dunes residents see it every day, but there may be a solution on the way. Happy Monday. When it comes to social media, I used to tell our interns at KNBC, each one of you is special and unique, and by all means you have something to say, but you must understand that ultimately when you say something, no one cares. No one cares what you think. Your friends might comment, your family might comment, but aside from that, no one cares until they do. And when they do, you've probably made a mistake. People feel emboldened on social media. They can say whatever they want, but what they fail to understand, there can be consequences. When you post something or comment, that is no different from me sitting here and talking. You are making a public statement, and there is going to be a reaction. So let's start here. Last week on Facebook, somebody thought they knew more about where I lived in Los Angeles than I do. He was steadfast. He was completely wrong. When I talked about the absurdity of it, he was upset and actually wrote a letter to the station asking this to be reviewed. Well, review complete. His point, two cities don't actually touch each other. Anyone that was confused about whether Toluca Lake and Burbank touch, currently, I'm standing in Burbank. Let me show you something. I'm going to cross the street. Street separates the two. That's Burbank. And now I'm in Toluca Lake. There you go. They touch, and happy Father's Day. Was it me, or did those pants make it look like I had no butt? Anyway, he made a statement and he was wrong. He doubled down and then he defended and he was wrong. And then when you point out he's wrong, he's upset that we used his name, but he used his name. Like most people, he didn't understand you are responsible for what you say. Here's another example. Matt Robinson posted, NBC Palm Springs and KESQ are irresponsible for the lack of monitoring comments on your social media posts. This in regard to the La Quinta man threatening to shoot attendees at a Palm Springs rally. Our news director, David Reese, responded. He said, let me educate you on a basic premise of journalism. Censorship is a slippery slope. So with the exception of outright threats or foul language, we don't censor or curate the comments on our Facebook posts. So there was a consequence to the original post. Consequence, I should say. They blocked David Reese. Didn't want to hear what he had to say. Our contributors, Sue Abramowitz and Stephanie Green. Steph, I'll start with you. Should people be responsible and held responsible for what they put on social media?
Well, I've long thought they should. I long thought people should police themselves. There is such a thing as freedom of speech, and we all get that, but it doesn't mean that you have no consequences for what you say. If you choose to go down a rabbit hole or down a path that is rude, aggressive, whatever the word is. So yes, I think that we should police ourselves. I don't believe it's up to Meta to police us. And they tried that during COVID and that didn't go over so well. But I don't know, Sue, what's your thought on this one?
I agree with you. However, I think a lot of people today feel that it doesn't matter what they say or how they say it because they think they're important and what they have to say is important. So I think they need, I don't know. It's social media has just changed the whole world.
My friend Rodney Pete says it's a town without a sheriff. It's funny, doing this show, and the show is constructed for social media. I mean, that's how the Rogan Report is put together. Anytime we mention anybody's comment on the air, they become incensed. Well, how can you do that? Well, how can I do it? Well, how can you say what you said? because there are consequences. Why do you think, Stephanie, people are surprised when they get called out for it?
Because I don't think people really understand the medium itself, and they don't understand that it's not private, it's not their platform. It's supposed to be a social interchange of thoughts and ideas, and that's where it started. And I think that people think they're in this little bubble. It's like when you go to the grocery store and the checker's talking to the guy who's boxing your groceries as if you're not standing there. They don't say hello, they don't engage. And I think people think that way about social media. They throw comments out there and then they move on. And it's such a misuse of the platform, and it's what's made it bad when it really had a lot of good.
All right. Give me a second here to talk about Riverside County Animal Services. People really seem to like the new director, Mary Martin, and they believe she's going to make a difference. But if you really look at things, the only difference appears to be the county got some media training and the person in charge has a gentle demeanor. The animal shelter is going to continue to kill animals because the animal shelter has no choice. It doesn't matter who the director is. Mary Martin seems to care. There's Aaron Geddes, who slided away out of that interview. She cared about being put on the spot during interviews. Animal activists know this, and behind the scenes they talk about it every day. They've been talking about this for years because it's been this way for years. And no matter how it is presented, it is what it is. It's awful. The only real change, the folks at the county have learned to deal with the media. That's a good thing for them, but for the animals, nothing is going to change for a very long time. We told you the story of Linda Paulding, who got sick at the Juice in Palm Springs and ended up in the hospital. The owners of the Juice had her car towed, and now it's going to cost her over $1,000 to get it out. Her nephew is beside himself that the Juice would have a sick woman's car towed and that it's so expensive to get out.
Good job. Please stop. Perfect.
From our Good Neighborhood page on Facebook, Brad wrote, he wouldn't be surprised if the Juice gets a kickback from the towing company every time they alert them that a car has exceeded its time limit in the parking lot and can be towed. We are not suggesting that, but if it was true, it would be pretty heartless. We've called the Juice multiple times to find out what happened. Nobody answers the phone. They must be making a lot of juice. But they are aware of our reporting because they emailed one of our viewers not to believe what we reported because we have a hyped up show designed to get ratings. If anybody is hyping the show, we appreciate that. And all shows are designed to have people watch. But here's an idea. Come on the show and talk about what happened. If we're wrong, you can tell us and correct it, because I can promise you this, you guys are not doing yourselves any favors.
Good job. Please stop. Perfect.
Just a little compassion makes you a good neighbor. So in Thousand Palms, Rosa wants to know, anybody gone to Simply Dental in Mexicali? She's taken her spouse there for some much-needed dental work and was wondering the experience you had. Mark in Rancho Mirage looking for a trustworthy repairman to fix his recently broken electric garage door. Brian in La Quinta, 4 trees in need of trimming, and he's taking bids for a tree trimmer that wants that job. Lynn in Palm Desert looking for recommendations for somebody to check out her faulty AC units.
If this show puts you to sleep, sweet dreams. If you're awake, tell us what you think. Find Fred on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fred Rogan. You can also email thedesertdean@gmail.com.
The skies in Bermuda Dunes may be getting a little friendlier.
is National Cancer Survivor Month, and a local breast cancer survivor is sharing her inspiring story of resilience and recovery. If it weren't for a walk with her dog Rafferty, Allegra Warfield might never have discovered she had breast cancer. During that walk, Allegra fell, went to the hospital, and found out the news. She fought hard, and today Allegra is cancer-free. She credits early detection and encourages others to be proactive and advocate for their own health. And as for those walks with Rafferty, they're still part of her daily routine. For her strength and the strength of all cancer survivors, Allegra is our hero of the week.
What do you think when you hear Palm Springs? Marilyn Monroe statue, world-class dining, the tram, the hiking trails, the palm trees. What happens if you can't plant palm trees anymore? On June 11th, the City Sustainability Climate Action Subcommittee, that is a long committee name, reviewed an approved tree species list that specifically highlights palm trees as discouraged plantings. They want water-efficient trees over the resource-intensive palms. So if you want to plant a palm tree on your own, you've got to get special approval from planning or public works directors. So we reached out to the city. They said some palm tree species do appear on the recommended species list. However, they do not provide a lot of shade, so why would you plant them? And so they are not recommended for extensive new plantings. They are, however, still allowed, especially in cases where you are replacing a palm tree that is ailing or has died. Okay, Sue, I tell you that, you tell me what?
You know what? Whatever works. I think it's ridiculous, but I love palm trees. I think they're gorgeous, and there's so many different varieties that I don't quite get it. I understand the environment and the water issues, but if they need to be really specific about the species and where they plant it, et cetera, but I think it's just kind of a waste of time.
Stephanie?
I just can't believe them trying to have oversight into things you do on your private property and in your own home. That's sort of not what I signed on for with local government. And I understand they could have a recommendation list and a list of things you might want to avoid, but to literally come out with you have to get a permit to put a palm tree on your property is a slippery slope down into no rights and a bigger loss of freedom than that city likes to look into.
Yeah, you know what? I really don't get it either. It's funny, they have the same water restrictions back in Los Angeles. We lived in Calabasas for a while, and you would drive around, we'd fly the chopper from Channel 4 over, lush green lawn. It was like there was no issue at all. And despite the fact they said you can't plant this and you can't plant that, people planted it anyway. I agree with you guys. I just don't understand why the city is jumping in here and telling you we're going to make sure you don't waste water. Therefore, what is synonymous with Palm Springs, we can't do anymore. All right, are you a good person? If you see something going on, do you go over and try to help? If you think something is unfair, do you tell someone? You might find this interesting, but most people want to turn their head and act like nothing has happened. Knowing about injustice forces us into mentally taxing moral calculations. It exhausts us, so we'd rather avoid it. This comes from a study in Japan. Okay, Steph, do you believe in out of sight, out of mind?
Not really, no. I have issues when they take this kind of overstepping and, again, try to get into our realm, you know. But Sue, what are you thinking on this one?
I think it's based on fear. Having dealt with domestic violence people in my practice, one of the things that people say is that it's all about fear. If you hear someone doing something negative and rude and disrespectful, the first thing you need to do is say something. But people are afraid because they might have to deal with a reaction that they're not ready for.
Yeah, the study showed people were willing to punish unfair behavior when they saw it, so they just avoided it. In other words, I didn't see anything. Is that any way to live, Sue?
No, absolutely not. But what I have found is that when people have this fear, there is something behind it that says, if I go forward what will be my consequences. And unfortunately, something for people to express themselves, sometimes it has to be something that happens in their life that says, I am no longer going to be in the background. I will speak and I will share and I will do what I feel is right.
Okay. All right. Steph, you agree?
Absolutely. And I think we've changed as a society where we used to step in when we saw injustice being done, and now we don't. Yes. And people are getting away with all manners of bizarre behavior, and everyone's turning around the other way. So I think it's become an epidemic problem, and I hope that we get back to being polite and civilized.
All right. You know, you don't need to tell us it's hot outside. We all know that. But where would Chloe and Superweather go if we didn't report it?
Fred, it was 116 out today. 116, hottest day so far this year. So this is the only place that you should be. So why am I here? Why am I here?
Dog urine in a squirt bottle, really?
Riddle me this. What has an eye but cannot see?
Might have read this in the Desert Sun, and quite frankly, the entire thing seems completely absurd. I've got a Mama Gina for years. Truth be told, my wife loves it. So you can imagine our surprise when Mama Gina's was flagged by the health department for having a spray bottle of dog urine. I'm no expert, but I don't think it was one of their secret ingredients. There is a story behind it. It wasn't dog urine. It was a solution they sprayed to keep dogs from urinating on the wall in front of the restaurant on El Paseo. This afternoon, I spoke with the owner, Olivia Pierneroni, and she is livid. There is more to this story, and Olivia will join us on the show tomorrow night. Got an update on a story we first told you about concerning the Bermuda Dunes Air Park. Okay, here's the dilemma. When it was first built, it was a community airstrip for small planes. New owners bought the airport and started allowing large jets to land there, meaning the wing of a plane could hit you right in the head if you were sitting on your patio. Here's the update. Assemblyman Greg Wallace's office has been in touch with Caltrans because not only is this absurd, look at this. Look at this. It's a giant safety concern. Good morning. How do you correct this? You keep the big planes off the taxiway, and I think that's what may be in the works. And if they can't taxi, it'd be awfully tough for them to take off and land. It's an ongoing situation, but it appears the residents could have things swing in their favor. When we return, take a trip to Mongolia. This is pretty cool. Alan Monroe from the Living Desert told us that they were sending some of their people to Mongolia on a conservation trip. Our pal Jenny is one of them and checked in with us for an update on what the folks from the Living Desert are doing.
Hi, Rogan Report fans. My name is Jenny Lynn from the Living Desert Zoo and Gardens, and today I have a very special broadcast to bring to you all the way from Mongolia. Last week, a team of experts traveled nearly 40 hours to reach one of our conservation field sites here at the Icknart Nature Reserve, and I have the pleasure of traveling with them so I can bring you along on this journey of conservation. This week, we're meeting with our partners at the Mongolian Conservation Initiative because we are starting a whole summer's worth of conservation fieldwork and projects to study the Gobi Desert. Now, you might have heard that the Living Desert has 80 conservation projects around the world, many of which are at our home in the Colorado Desert, but one of which is here. And the reason is the Colorado Desert and the Gobi Desert, and all deserts for that matter, are facing so many of the same challenges. We're all facing the impacts of global climate change, as well as the negative impacts of human behavior. And we're bringing our experts together with their experts to find solutions to those problems so we can work with local communities and build a healthy desert. Because when nature has the opportunity to heal, it will. And I'm so excited to get to show you that incredible work in action. And while I'm here, I want to hear from you. Let me know what you want to see and what you want to learn, and I will report back to you. Thank you so much. Stay tuned, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Report was presented by the Living Desert Zoo and Gardens.
We never hear from anyone in Coachella or Desert Hot Springs.
Once in a while, say hi.
As a matter of fact, everybody tell us what you think.
Find Fred on Facebook and Instagram at Fred Rogan or email thedesertdean@gmail.com.
What has an eye but cannot see? A potato.
We get a lot of questions. We try to answer as many as we can. Sometimes the answers are juicy and provocative. Sometimes not so much. Take a look at this kind of strange brick wall and an empty field held up by a couple of 2x4s. Charlton wanted to know what the heck used to be there and why it was still standing there. It's in Cathedral City by the Soul Springs Hotel. We reached out to Cat City, and here's the skinny. They were building a building, and it was abandoned. They tore it down in 2017, except that piece, the city said the wall had no significance, so it remains to this day. Like I said, sometimes the answers are juicy, sometimes it's just what's left behind from an abandoned building. You're welcome. On the outrage of CVUSD over the impending meeting in front of the State Audit Committee, Ann said she went through many audits, never panicked, and she looked at them as learning opportunities. We could find where we need improvement in our process. If we don't have anything to hide, then... About our topic on sleep and what getting too little sleep can do to you, Susie walks her dogs every morning at 4:30 a.m. I get between 4 to 6 hours of sleep at night. My eyes pop open at 2:30 each morning. I don't nap, and I figure if I'm tired, I'll simply go to bed earlier. And about the towing trouble in Palm Springs, Tiffany had this to say: their phone must be off the hook, as we used to do when we didn't want to be bothered. Their business will be affected by this negative publicity, and of course, she's speaking about the juice. Remember, NBC Palm Springs works 24/7. Head on over to the website, go to the show page. Our content from tonight is up there, and all of our content from past shows as well. All right, stay cool. Thanks for watching. Wheel of Fortune's next.